Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. So it is Tuesday, November 7th, and I am in my studio. I had, in the previous video, created this sticker, which I'm sending off to print soon. But before I send that off, I wanted to create a seagull. I don't know if you guys can see it since it's in pencil. A seagull with a seaweed wreath around his neck with some shells decorating, and I thought that would be really cute. The idea came to me when I was walking on the beach and I saw a whole bunch of seaweed on the shore after the storm, and I just love the dark plum and wine colors that they have. And I thought that would look really pretty. And then I saw a whole bunch of seagulls. And it's probably done before, but I've never done it before. So it's new to me. And I got really excited with the idea. So I did a little sketch in this small Royal Talon sketchbook. And I've prepared a sheet of paper, an A3 sheet of paper with gesso that I had painted on, but I want to paint over. But with that, I'm going to be doing a different activity. I have several ideas running in my mind. I want to create like paper ornaments that you can fold into different shapes. I would love to make Christmas stars where they're decorated. So we'll see. We'll see what I get to. I would also like to make different type of little like fold out books. I would love to make a house where you can open it up, and I have a whole bunch of ideas. It always happens to me. I hope I have enough time to complete them all because that would be really cool. I would also love to make a 3D cardboard nutcracker. So we'll see. Like these are just like, it's one idea after another, after another, after another. And I never know if I have enough time to do everything. But I'm going to try to focus on one thing because that's what I find difficult, to focus on one thing when I have so many ideas. So I'm going to focus on this bird, and then I'm going to focus on that sheet of paper that I had over there. I think I'm going to cut it up and create like a little book thing. We'll see. We'll see. So let's start. Need to film an end. So I uploaded the videos onto my computer, and I think I had about 6 minutes of footage from my book. But you'll see why I'm so excited. You'll hear why I'm so excited, and I'll share it with you. But I thought I'm going to share some of my favourite reference books. I'm going to share some of my favourite picture books. I'm going to share some of my favourite artist books. And I thought that would be a nice way of breaking this video up. Okay, so I finished it. I really enjoyed doing this one. I approached it differently than the owl one that I did. Hold on, let me switch angles and we'll talk. Okay, so I approached it differently than my owl one. Also, I was listening to different things. When I drew this one, I was listening to an audiobook, The Name of the Wind. It's a beautiful book. I'm really enjoying it. Fantasy about magic, and once you find the name for the wind, you can control it. I just love it. I'm a fantasy sci-fi reader. So when I was doing this, it was very magical, and you can tell by just the vibe of the owl. However, this one is just fun, and it's carefree, and it's cute, and it's children illustration, like what I draw. And I was listening to Emma Carlisle's Patreon while painting this, and she was talking about some of her favorite books from the month. And I thought, instead of just like drawing it with a pencil and coloring it in, I'm just going to go straight with gouache. And here's my palette. I was using acrylic gouache and acrylic inks, and I just love it. I'm just really excited to see this as a sticker. I'm going to now scan it, and then I'll use my iPad to clean it up. And I'll have two. I have another one that I was doing last night, but I'm not certain. It's very folky. I think I want to do this one again. It's not bad. I like it, but I kind of want to do it the way that I did the seagull. And I also want to do a colorful dove. So I want to have, and maybe another seagull. I want to have 5 stickers. And so far I have 2 finished ones. So I need to do 3 more by today, hopefully. And I only have an hour. So it's looking like I'm not gonna finish the stickers today, which I'm really bummed about. I'm really, really bummed. I wanted 5. So I'm gonna see if I can crank another one out.
So I decided to continue with these peachy beige muted tones. I still had them on my palette, and I really dislike wasting paint, especially my gouache and my acrylic inks. They're so pricey as they are, so I don't really want to just leave some to dry on my palette. I had really enjoyed painting the owl in that very magical way, but here I wanted to do it in a more loose style, like how I did with the seagull. But I noticed that the theme of owls for me, whenever I personally paint them, they're more serious in their nature. It's probably because of the look in their eyes. And so, despite me doing it loosely without sketching anything out, just looking at a reference picture, there are portions of it that do appear looser than my other owl. And I did have a lot of fun doing that. But then the eyes and the face, I did feel like it was still very serious. I enjoy it. I really like it. I think it turns out really nicely. But it would be fun to explore owls a bit more and see how far I can take them. I used a combination of the gouache and the acrylic inks and some acrylics that I had there, mixing it. And I really liked mixing the white acrylic ink.
So I did another owl. I think it's just because it's an owl and they have such a serious look in their eyes that I can't do such a playful thing, but I still love it. And I love the colors that I use, the muted purples and beige and browns. And I added some mistletoe to it. And I really like it. I really like it. I think so far these 3 are going to be pretty cool stickers, large stickers. I want to make them quite large, but I still want to make 2 others. Hopefully I can do 2 others in this style. I want to do another seagull and maybe 2 more seagulls, I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's the work that I've done today. And I'll catch you guys later.
So I thought that I had finished creating Christmas card designs, but then I received a message from my former neighbor in Germany who loves to knit and crochet. And she actually taught me how to crochet while I was living my first couple of years in a small village next to her, surrounded by the forest. And she asked if I could draw sheep wearing a sweater. And I, thought about it, and I looked at some of the inspirational illustrations that I save on Instagram. And there was this one, or even on Pinterest, there was this one of a house with some really beautiful, bright stars in different shapes. And the background was nice and dark. And so the stars really were very vibrant with the contrasting colors. And I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if I had like a really happy sheep, like jumping in the air, surrounded by stars, and then wearing this sweater. So again, I was still in this very loose mode. So I pulled out my little sketchbook and I just started going at it. As you can see me here, just putting down paint, not worrying about if it looks neat and tidy. I actually wanted it to be kind of uneven and play around with that and just see where it goes, because you always have the option to paint over it, paint again, or improve things in Procreate. I mean, there's nothing to lose when playing around in your sketchbook. Like that's the whole purpose of having a sketchbook, trying things out and playing with your paints. And it has taken me so long to approach things with a loose mindset. I would always want things to be perfect and beautiful and clean, and these beautiful strokes and lines, and that represented things clearly as they're seen in reality. And it has only been through Patreon with Emma Carlisle and Sarah Dyer and discovering other illustrators and artists that approach things with this loose style that I began to loosen up myself. I would always, it was a conflicting desire within me. So on the one side, I wanted things to be perfect, right? And especially having my mother be a realist artist, I thought that was like the best, highest, supreme form of art. But it made me unhappy because whenever I would look at something, it wasn't what I wanted it to be. Like there were always so many mistakes, and it looked lifeless. It looked like, like what's the purpose of existing really? That art, it doesn't mean anything. It's empty. And I always really loved, and I was attracted to, my eye would get excited when I would see these vivid strokes with so much texture and movement, those folky, primitive, ugly, like conservatively ugly considered art, I would just love. That's the reason why I was always so attracted to children's illustrations, because they're so full of emotion. And you can read so much with the color choices, with the placement of objects, with the brush strokes, that you would see the brush strokes, you would see the paper texture and fibers, and you would see the pencil marks. And I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. And really, it took me until pretty much now where I can confidently open up my sketchbook and not really care if I make a mistake. And I just grab paint and I love it. I absolutely love sketching in paint. That is like my favorite. But then again, I go through stages. There's some stages where I just love drawing tighter and more perfect, and that'll make me happy. Like when I was painting the octopus and the lighthouse, that it's very meticulous work and you will not be done in one setting. While with these type of illustrations, they're supposed to be fast, done within one sitting of like an hour, seeing what you can crank out, seeing what comes out of you. Like, how are you feeling in that moment? And you can see I was quite joyous, and I was having a lot of fun using purples and yellows and blues and oranges. I love blue and orange. Those are my favorite two colors to add. And just playing with different materials, like not really having a plan. The only plan I had was the motive. I wanted sheep jumping in the sky. And then later on in Procreate, I did add a few more elements, and I did add the sweater. I was thinking initially of going about it with collage, which I can still just, look at, because there can always be two versions. But this one, I'm going to show you now the digital version. So you can see I scanned it in, I removed the seam, and then I completely drew over the background. I wanted it to be completely even, but I kept the stars. I really loved the texture of the paper from the cutout stars and the shape of the painted stars. I do improve them a bit with, I believe I used a pencil setting and the acrylic brush. Those were the ones that I used. But yeah, you can see I added a little bit of a background, and then I turned it into a card. And so I hope that my neighbor likes this version of it. All right, guys, see you next time.